Greetings, scholars. I want to take a few moments to talk to you about the types of sources that you're going to gather for research. We're in Unit 4, and we've already talked about gathering your sources. You know you're going to start with a database. You know that you can expand that search to search engines and trusted websites.gov.edu, trusted newspapers, periodicals, scholarly sources. We've already covered that. So, what I want to cover with you now is what types of information you need to find for your paper. So, let's go into sources to gather for research. When you click on this link, you'll see the video first here. After I finish recording the video, you see it here. We're going to pull down the drop box, and you'll see this handout, right? So when you write your paper, this is going to be a long paper and you're going to need some information, okay? So you're gathering sources, and when you're gathering sources, the thing I want you to remember the most is right now you are just doing a cursory read of the material. You are just trying to figure out what information is in this article that is relevant to your research, right? And what type of information that you need, and if the source, I'm sorry, and if the source has the type of information you're going to need for your paper. So, what I want to do now is talk to you about what types of information you'll need for your paper. So, one of the things, the first thing that you need to do when you evaluate your sources, when you're gathering your sources, evaluating your sources, right? You want to make sure that there is definition. One of the sections in your paper, one of the paragraphs in your paper will have to do with definition, right? In other words, there are terms that you're going to run across in your research that will have to be defined for the reader in order for the reader to understand what it is specifically you are talking about in the paper. For example, look at the examples here. What does defund the police really mean? Give me some definition. Tell me how defunding the police works. Definition isn't just defund the police is just this. That's a one sentence definition. But you kind of also want to tell me how it works, right? So when you gather information for your paper, you have to be very careful. Definition is just not Merriam-Webster's definition. There is a lot that goes into definition, as you learned last semester in 101. Not only do you have to give me a one sentence definition, but you also have to give me an extended definition. With the extended definition, you're actually telling me how this term functions. How does it work? How does defund the police work, right? You've given me a definition. Now you want to tell me how does it work? What do you mean when you say defund the police? What are the details, right? Uh, what is treason, right? What steps does one have to take in order to be accused of treason, right? You want to make sure that the reader understands the term or terms that you're going to be using in your paper. So, and when I say terms, remember what I'm saying, that not only do you have the main term to be defined, but there can also be other terminology in your discussion, in your readings, that you may want to say, hey, my reader may not know what this term means. Let me make sure that I give a list of definitions so that my reader clearly understands the term, and therefore the reader can understand exactly what it is I'm going to talk about. So the first thing you need to do as you're looking for your sources, as you're gathering your sources, as you're skimming your sources, you're not necessarily doing a deep dive yet, but you need to make sure that you are looking for definition anything that helps you to explain what your term is and how your term works. Remember also, it's not just one term. There may be several terms that you need to define for the reader. So make sure that when you check your sources, you check for definitions. The next thing that you need to do, number 2, check your sources. Before you add a source to your working bibliography, check the source and make sure that the source gives you enough history or background information. Look at this. When did this issue come into existence? Was it 2000, 2002, 2018? You know what I'm saying? What is the historical background? When did this information, when did this topic, when did this issue become a controversy, right? Tell me who the two sides are that are arguing. If you're writing about abortion, you are going to tell me that you will define pro-life, pro-choice, but you'll tell me all of the history. What was Roe versus Wade? How did Roe versus Wade come about, right? Give me historical information about your topic. The third thing you want to look for the major arguments in the article, right? Remember, this is an argumentative paper, research paper. You must have two sides, right? So look for the main arguments. Do the main and write them down. We're going to talk about that in the notes. So look to see if the argument has main articles or sources have arguments, right? So what are the major arguments? What are the major arguments for? What are the major arguments against? What are the pro arguments? What are the con arguments? Look for those things as you're gathering your sources, because the next step, you're actually going to write down this information. So keep that in mind. Not only are you looking at this step to see if the source has this information, the next step will require you to take each one of those sources and write that information down. Okay? Look for examples. Statistics. You know I have a problem with that word. Statistics. Anecdotes. Who are the experts? What are the facts that support the position in the article, right? Look for things that are going to support your position. You may find an interesting fact that you find that you must include in your final paper, okay? Make sure that when you are evaluating these sources to add to the working bibliography, that you are looking to make sure that they include this information. Number 6, opposing views. Remember, you cannot write a one-sided paper. There are always two sides to a story. So you want to make sure that when you're looking for information and you're gathering your sources, that you find information for the opposing view. Somebody disagrees with you and you need those views because you have to write the opposing view in the final research paper. Okay? So 1 through 6. Here are the things that I want you to look for. Definitions, right? How are you going to define the term or tell me how the term works? History, background information. When did this issue come into existence? Who were the two sides arguing, right? What landmark cases or if any, have anything to do with the controversy? What are going to be the main arguments in the article? You want to look for arguments that are similar to your own so that you know you have come up with a good point. You want to look for supporting points for your argument. You want to look for examples. You want to look for the opposing view. So locating information for your research essay. Again, I have a link in here that I want you to watch for the library, from the library. But you can use video news sources, CNN, right? You can use newspaper articles, the Washington Post, New York Times, credible websites, .gov, .org, .edu. Make sure that you are looking at these videos. Just click on the videos for all of these. And that is the information. As you're working to gather sources for your research, what information do you need to take down? 1 through 6. You will need this information when you write your paper, so make sure you do a good job of identifying those sources with this information in it, right? And make sure that you record them in proper MLA style. And I'm going to go over MLA style in another video. As always, if you have a question about anything, first rewatch this video. And if you still have questions, please feel free to email me. I am always happy to respond to your email, and I usually respond to email in a pretty timely fashion. As always, good writing to you, or should I say from this point on, good research to you, and I will see you in the next video.